Okay, so today we'll cover the next steps with our What's Going Through Your Mind assignment. And this is going to be about gathering and editing images and then placing images into our workspace. So I've got a folder here on my desktop that is, I'll just show you, it's organized. I've got it, it's in my DAD2 folder. I've got my assignment folder, and in my assignment folder, I have my portrait, and I have a folder with the images in it that I want to use. So it makes sense let's just sort through the images. This is what I included. Some were taken in the studio, some were taken outside of the studio, and some of them are from magazines. And this is what I have so far. I'm probably going to do more, but this is a start. Some of these you can see are actually images of text that I'm thinking that I might want to also include. But before I work with these, I need to edit them. These are just really raw snapshots that I want to make sure look good as I'm starting to bring them into my design. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to open up this image. I want to make sure I open it inside of Photoshop. If you just straight up double click your image, it'll open in preview. Since we know Photoshop, I'd like you to open it there because it's going to allow you to do a bit more with your editing. So notice I'm opening it separate from my artwork. Okay, I'm not opening it into my portrait yet. I right clicked on the image, I got the open with command, and I'm over here now and I am opening it in Photoshop. So I took this photo in the studio and it's really dark. Adjustment layers help with that. Oh my gosh, I keep clicking off. Okay, let's try exposure because I do feel like it needed to be quite a bit brighter. All right. When I increase the exposure, it makes the background lighter, and it also brings in and allows us to see the color of the plant that I took a picture of. I don't need these two vibrant ones. That wasn't actually what I selected. So you can see your images here, and there's just an adjustment layer on top of it. The next step here is I do want this cut out. I really don't want it to be a part of the, I don't want the white behind it to become a part of my design. So what I'm doing next is I'm going to use my object selection tool, which we're becoming quite familiar with. I'm just going to drag over the subject of the photo. And so you can see here that it's selecting the background. I'm going to apply a layer mask to it. I can do that by clicking here on the layer mask tool, and it'll apply that layer mask right to the image. Okay, so now I have it with a transparent background. And I know it's transparent because of the way I did it, I see the checkerboard. So if you want to be a bit more refined with this, I would, before you make that adjustment, I would always feather the edge of your selection a little bit because that makes it smoother and it makes it look less cut out, right? So it doesn't have to be a perfect selection though, because remember, this is a collage. I actually could keep some of the white background and it wouldn't be a bad thing. So we'll start here. Okay, so I'm going to save this. Let's just say I'm all set with how it looks. And, here's one thing you could do if you've got a whole lot of just negative space that you don't need. You could just get the cropping tool. And you could crop this so that it's a smaller file. Hit enter when you want to set the crop. Let's do that. Let's do file. We'll come down here to save a copy. PNG. And make sure you're going back into your images folder, and I'd give it a title so that you can find it. This will be our pine tree branch. Okay. This is fine. I would keep it at large. All right, let's see if it did. Let's see if it did what I wanted it to do. Okay. Here is my portrait from the other day, ready to add. So I'm going to do File, Place Embedded. I saved that here, Place. Okay, you can see that it did come in with the transparent background, and it doesn't have like the adjustment layers and other things attached to it. It's just an image, okay? So from here, I'm going to adjust it. I can rotate it. There's like so many things I can do here that are going to become, you know, a part of my portrait, right? And remember, we're covering the top half, essentially the top half of your face with this assignment. And so maybe some things will show through. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to just see how this goes. It's labeled, so I know that that's my layer that I'm working with. All right, so that's how you're going to bring your images in, but take the time to edit them first, please. Next steps. So I want to add some text. And I'm going to use one of the phrases that I came up with for my brainstorm. And I'm going to apply it. Use that here. So I'm using the typing tool. I just clicked into the negative space. Notice that I got a brand new layer when I did that. And it's defaulting to this font, maybe because that's like the last font that I used. That's fine. And I'm going to type in one of my words or my phrases. Okay. I don't want to use this font, so I'm going to make some adjustments. Okay. Now, I could type that phrase and it could be all the same color. It could be all the same size. It could be all the same font. Or it could be different. Some words could be more emphasized in a variety of ways. They could be larger, a different color, a different font. So have fun with that. This is your chance to really be expressive with your ideas. For this one, if you ever want to go back in and edit the text, you got to go back into the typing tool. You've got to highlight the text, and then you can make some adjustments. So this text happens to have the option to change the font right within here. But I do want to point out that if you're feeling like the fonts that are available to you inside of Photoshop are not what you want, you're thinking that you want some different options than what is provided, I mean, certainly spend the time kind of looking through and seeing if there's something here that might work. But you may discover that this isn't enough, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some fonts. And I can do that by clicking on right here. It says More Fonts. All right, so that's one way I can get in and I can start to filter and I can start to see more fonts. And it's kind of cool, like they come in categories. And so like this may be another place to take a look at. Okay, moving on. So I'm gonna go and open up a new web browser and I'm gonna go to, and I'll add this link to your resources. So if I go to fonts.adobe.com, it's really important that you're signed in. So I'm not signed in, so I'm going to get signed in. Make sure you use your Boulder Valley. Yeah, okay, it got me signed in. So there are so many fonts here. Not all of them are able to be downloaded because you might not have the rights to download them, or you might have to pay for them. All right, but let's just say I'm looking for a font that search. You can keyword search for styles. If you're, maybe there's one here under retro that we like. If it says add family right here, then I can add it. It's really important when you do this to make sure that you remember the name of the font, because it's going to be challenging if you don't remember the name to find it in the list of all the other fonts that are already downloaded and on your device. Okay, so maybe I like this one. I'm going to click on Add Family. Okay. And then it says you can manage it, so you can install it across other apps. Okay, fine. So let's just say okay. Manage fonts. Okay, maybe we have to do this. Maybe we have to go to this Creative Cloud. And maybe we have to install it from here. Okay. So do you see this? I'm sorry, there's so many steps. It's not installed unless I go to Creative Cloud and I install it in my Creative Cloud. You can see here Creative Cloud opened as its own separate app. If you want to get to it, you can go to the Launchpad and you can search here for it. Okay. And we just want to go into the straight up Creative Cloud, and that will get us to this page, which allows you to install the font. So it's installing now. Note that when you install it, it's installed on the device that you installed it on, and it's not going to be found on another device that you use if you switch computers. So there it is. There it is. I'm using the font. Wow, finally it worked. Cool. All right. So now I've got a way of bringing in new fonts. I can rotate it. I can do all kinds of things with it. I want to also point out that when we're creating this project, if I need something to be more bold, I can see if the font came with bold or not. Sometimes it looks like this font came with only the regular version. Some fonts that you'll download, they come with everything. They come with bold, they come with like light, they come with italic. This one is one that did not. So keep in mind that as you're downloading fonts, it may not have everything you need in the font family. If that happens, you can come over and you can actually add weight to it through something called faux bold, or with using the stroke weight inside of the layer style. Okay, so these are things we really haven't played around with before, so let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to highlight my text. Faux bold is going to be located in my character panel. I can get to that here. I can come down here and right there, that one is faux bold. I can also do faux italic or any of these other choices with capitals and lowercase. But you might be looking at that and thinking like, yeah, no, that's too bold. That's not what I want. And here's a workaround that is slightly different. Double click that layer. Move this out of the way so you can see what you're doing. And there is a choice here called stroke. What this does is it allows you to apply an outline. So make sure the position is here on outside, and make sure your color is the color that you typed in because you want it to match. And right now it's applying weight at 1 pixel. I can make it bigger if I want to. So maybe it just needs to be 2 pixels. Okay. So there are some choices with that. I'm going to place one last image in here that involves something slightly different than what we've seen. So we know how to add text. We know how to add an image. The other thing that I took a picture of that I think I want to bring in, I'm going to go here to my file menu. And let's say I'm going to place an image this way, slightly different way of bringing something in. Let's just say that I want a picture of some text that I took from a magazine. Run the world, there it is. But maybe I want the top of this. I want the it takes guts part of it. I could crop this inside the layer. I can obviously resize it. I can rotate it. But this is a way that I wanted to show you where you can bring something in before you've edited it and use it, use it in your design, okay? Now, our last project, we practiced a lot with using frames. So if I want to add a frame to this layer, there is a choice. If you right-click on the layer, come on up here, and we should get the choice to make a frame from that layer, okay? And now that it's in a frame, I can take the frame and I can crop it, right? So like I don't need the run the world part of this, right? I just want the bottom of it. It's one way to edit. I wouldn't have rotated it, obviously, before doing that if that was the case. And I can manipulate it by moving it around. I can grab both the frame and the image by holding down Shift and adding to my selection in my layer. I can move this around, and maybe it needs to be kind of there, okay? And then again, if you want to just edit the contents, you can. When you take pictures that you might use in your design, I'm going to encourage you in those photos to be okay with the picture being slightly distorted. You can see the word "it" is bigger than guts because I took it on an angle. I like when that happens in this assignment because it gives us variety and something that's maybe just a little bit unexpected, all right? So I've done some editing to that layer. If I want to edit the whole thing, it's Command-T or Edit Free Transform to resize it, okay? I don't know what this. I'm just starting to pop things in here, and I'm going to be working with, manipulating them, okay? And maybe there's layering going on. And when layering starts to happen, that's when I can apply blending modes. You guys remember that? If you do anything with blending modes that's in a frame, you've got to select just the image, and the blending mode will then apply to the image. Blending modes are cool. I like them because what they do is they incorporate part of the layer that I'm applying it to the layers below. One of the reasons why you don't see a whole lot going on here is because the layer behind that text is white. Okay, so if it had a slightly different color there behind it, or another image behind it, or something like that, that's when things start to get a little more interesting. Okay, I like this because it does start to show the layering, and it starts to show almost a blending of multiple layers. So don't be afraid to have things overlap. Don't be afraid to have a blending of multiple layers using things like blending modes. Okay. Color themes. Try and stick with a color theme. Don't go with more than like 3 or 4 colors. Try to kind of repeat that throughout. Blending modes will help you keep your colors kind of under control and directed. All right. That